All right.
We're gonna go through the Mark Capani Wikipedia. First off, they spelled your name wrong.
Yep.
That's not getting off to a good start.
No.
It says that during your WWE run, you were 6'2", 245.
I wish. 6 foot, maybe 6 foot and a half. I think the heaviest I was it was maybe 225, 230.
Yeah. That's one we get a lot out of pro wrestling, which isn't a big secret.
No, they do that everywhere. They do that NFL, NBA. They always beef it up at least an inch or two and add 20 pounds.
It says after retiring, you moved to L.A. to be an actor and screenwriter. Yeah,
I did a little acting. I didn't do too much of it. I got into the writing and the production end of it. Did some small things, nothing really memorable that stands out. But that I would say that is accurate.
You were trained by Nightmare Danny Davis and Nick Dinsmore.
That is true. And Jim Cornette and Rob Conway. It was really, I saw Jim Cornette last weekend. I told him, thank you, because I never got a chance. Thank you for everything you did for me. And I told him to make sure he told Danny the same thing, because I haven't seen Danny in a decade. But, yep, Danny Davis, Nick Dinsmore was my primary trainer, and Rob Conway, and a lot of other people along the way that helped out. So I'm very grateful to all of them.
And you later worked with Nick Dinsmore on the main roster briefly.
Yeah, we did. We did that thing at WrestleMania. It was really cool.
So I mean, that had to be an interesting situation. You get trained by a guy, and the next thing you know, you are in a main event angle, a huge main event angle, with him at WrestleMania. That's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, it was because I've always looked up to Nick, so it was definitely a big moment for me.
It says that one of your signature moves was nicknamed the finishing touch.
Yeah, OVW, the finishing touch. Yep. And I don't think anybody uses it. I thought it was a pretty good move, but yep, that was true.
Yeah, I remember that move. I just wasn't sure if that's what you had you called it or not. The reason that the WWE dropped the character was due to increasing public pressure, and they sent you and Daivari back to developmental, or at least tried.
That is partially true. They really wasn't a discussion to send me back to developmental. You know what? I bet if that was something I wanted to do, I could have done. But at the time, like we talked about the last time I spoke with you, I just wasn't interested in doing it anymore.
You were pegged to defeat Batista for the world title at SummerSlam.
That's what I heard. I heard that from, I can't remember who, but the idea was, obviously a screw job on The Undertaker at the Great American Bash, because, Undertaker is one of the most over wrestlers ever. And then I think the big FU was the Arab winning the belt against the hometown boy in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. So I can't confirm that for 100%, but as far as I was told, that was what was going to happen.
So were you told that by those behind the scenes in WWE, or was that something that you heard afterwards?
I think I knew beforehand. That was what I was told before everything went south with the character.
And was that something that was like in your mind when you decided to leave? Like, I could have had that run, or was that something you weren't really that concerned about?
I wasn't that concerned because coming from OVW, being trained more old school with Jimmy and Danny and Rip Rogers, belts are belts. We never put a lot of emphasis on belts. In fact, they would always say you put belts on the guys who aren't over. The guys who are over don't need a belt. So honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah, it'd be cool to have my name in the history book of world champions, but it's nothing I really dwell on.
And the last one is one that I wrote down but has been removed. But I'm still going to ask it anyway. It says, as of 2013, Capani has become a recruiter on the independent wrestling circuit, which I feel like you would have mentioned at some point.
Yeah, very false. There's not much of an independent circuit where I live. So